Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. So today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about fighting the repetitive thoughts of breaking generational curses. To my chosen ones, y'all know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of repetitive thoughts that we think when we're in the process of breaking these generational curses. And a lot of us know and then already done started that whole process. We already know words are spells are real. But it's easy to acknowledge something, but it's harder to put the actual footwork in. You know what I'm saying? And I think what brought me to this subject today was just me going through my own interpersonal battles, spiritual realm, time travel places, and blah blah blah. And it's like, for me personally, because I haven't talked to my moms in a while, and I haven't talked to none of my brothers in a minute, I haven't talked to my sister in a minute, any of my sisters in a minute. And it's like, for me, the repetitive thoughts are easier to fight because I know that most of my interactions with my siblings and my family as I got older, basically out of high school and shit, when you can start maneuvering around yourself, it's like most of our relationships was me putting in the work, initiating, starting everything. So for me, it's like I have enough repetitive thoughts in my memory bank with each individual to pinpoint all the situations where I initiated or engaged with them first, whether it was me pulling up to their house where they live at, or me calling them first, me texting them first. Anything that requires something being first or igniting or initiating, you know what I'm saying? So for me, the repetitiveness of the thoughts, it makes you sometimes want to reach back out and to engage and to see if anything is different. But we already know, once you dive in and you start raising your frequency, you already know that if they haven't reached out, then they haven't met you on that frequency yet. That's like a perfect way to pinpoint or key something, you know what I'm saying? Is if they haven't reached out or done anything different, then you know that they haven't met you on the frequency where you're at, you know what I'm saying? And when it comes to habits and repetitiveness, because that's basically how we learn. That's how things get ingrained in us. That's how things get brainwashed onto us, however you want to word it. You know what I'm saying? It's repetitiveness, just constantly doing something over and over, whether it's something over and over and over that's low vibrational, or something over and over and over that's high vibrational. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the spiritual battle will constantly try to like pull you back into the space with the repetitiveness, because like we said at the beginning, it's generational. So it's something that you're breaking that's been ingrained into your genetics heavy, you know, more so in your DNA and your RNA. And you know, spiritually you have to grow to understand that you're your own being and you have full control to, you know, to break all of that shit and do all of it. But they are a lot more patient than I used to think they were, you know, because they can linger around, you know, not in your space for a long time and come back around and be on the same type of time. That's, you know, and knowing that you was expecting different, you know, it's like you giving them an opportunity, you giving them a shot. No, it's not here's a job and a paycheck and a bonus kind of shot, but it's like you value your energy to the point to where, look, motherfucker, I'm putting my energy back around you and you still on the same time. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to say all these things verbatim, but that's how I would feel and manage my energy. You have to value your energy. You have to walk that life, so, and you always have to remember that the energy is always moving. So if it's not moving forward, it's moving backward. If it's not moving upward, it's moving downward. There is no stagnant energy. It's always moving. It's always moving. So even engaging, when you re-engage, like if you happen to re-engage, because some people do try to re-engage. I went through the re-engagement phase. I'm at the phase where I'm over all of that. There's no more any of that. If it's going to be any re-engagement, it's going to be something that they decided to do, you know what I'm saying, to try to, to mend the relationship, or to, forgive themselves. Because a lot of people, when they interact with you and they have shifted, it's more so of them forgiving themselves, which is what they're doing, and not really saying that they are apologetic for what they put you through. But that's understandable too, but you really have to fight those repetitive thoughts, and you have to put different things in place when you're breaking the generational curses. You started off operating one way with all of these relatives and family members, or just a few that you may have, you know what I'm saying, and then all of a sudden it's cut. You just decided to pull all interactions back, or you had a situation that happened where you had to pull back. You really ain't had no choice. We always got a choice, but you already knew where you stood, so you didn't have a choice but to pull back. You know what I'm saying? And they already knew that their pride was gonna get in the way. They are very prideful beings, and pride is it's one of them ingredients of the opposition. They love being very, very prideful. If I could think about any situation with my mom, she is extremely prideful. And like, she did a good job on the other siblings. She definitely broke them all down the way she wanted to have them broken down, and had them exactly where she needed to put them at. But in most families, and most, not gonna say all, just most, you always gonna have that one light being that's in the family. Just a matter of how much pressure they had to apply on that light being, and how well that light being stood through their trials and tribulations they had to go to become a light tower. Because y'all know, when we get to these places, we level up in the spiritual realm. It's a whole, the creator, the universe, the way this thing operates is very organized. It's a whole structure. So the more work you put in, the more shit you do, you know what I'm saying, that's flowing with the greater good and the creator, then you move up in the rankings. They didn't choose to break their generational purposes and curses, you know what I'm saying? They had to sit in that shit. So for them, they only can look at you and be extremely prideful of themselves. Very ignorant, you know what I'm saying? But when you dealing with the repetitive thoughts, you have to put something in place that's more beneficial for you in the spiritual realm. I'm not talking about like, don't think about it, go play the game or go wash your hair or some shit like that. No, put something else, substitute it with something in the spiritual realm, because it's something in the spiritual realm that's getting to you. So for me, that's what I came up with. For me, that was the best solution. So when I had to deal with them repetitive thoughts of, this sibling or that sibling, or I feel guilty for this one, or I feel bad, or maybe I was too hard, or the situation, and blah blah. When I start going through all of that shit, I put something different in place spiritually, so that way I can fight those thoughts better. And what I did was, I already put the groundwork in physically. So that was art. When you put the groundwork in physically, that gives you more strength in the spiritual realm. So for me, I had already tried and applied. So even when I went to think those repetitive thoughts, and I start coming up, I could try this, that, it canceled all that out, because I've already did all of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I had established that already myself in the beginning. So for the ones that's in these positions that are having a harder time in figuring out how to get out of these repetitive thoughts, while dealing with your family and breaking these curses, because it's gonna be everybody. I got cousins that I don't deal with either. I would like to see my grandmother more, even though I know she was a huge part of it as well. But my mom got her cocooned up in her house, so for me to get to my grandmother, I gotta go through her, and it's like, no, no. She has a phone, I'll call her. But as far as pulling up and doing all that other stuff, I had to learn to let go. I had to learn to let go of my daughter. So if I had to learn to let go of my daughter, why would you think that I would not know how to let go of my grandmother and my mom, which are already part of the next, the generation before? I'm already okay with letting go of the newest one, because I had to learn how to do that. If I didn't know how to do that, I would be beating myself up and going through more shit than I need to go through, because I already know I chose to lay down with the opposition. That was my choice. So I signed up for this shit, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I signed up for. I'm aware. I'm clearly aware, so that's why I also know I gotta put double work in consistently. But when you have things in place and you breaking these curses and doing these things, like, you have to substitute it with something spiritual. Whether, for me, it was past experiences, because I already put myself in these places and tried these other ideas. For some, it may be y'all have to come up with some kind of future idea or something more to bring you back into the present, so that way you aren't being sucked back into that repetitive mode. Because if you get sucked back into it, you're going to end up reaching out. We've all done it. We've all got sucked into that repetitive thought process of thinking and time traveling back into these spaces to where, oh, they did this, or they did do that, or they did do this, and then you fucking reach out. These are simple ways to kind of avoid these things, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Y'all tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.